And welcome to Game 2, everyone, of Round 2 between TATUS Gaming and Gold Path. Gold Path coming strong off a win in Game 1 that was very harshly fought over, but that in the end went just slightly to them. So just quickly, again, going over the players just in case you're coming in and never having seen these guys. I highly suggest you go back to the first video, however, the first game, and check that out. We have Von Asten, Crossfire, Nagano, and Scotch, who won Game 1 as the Axis. Now they're playing as the Allies. Of course, they're going for the also popular 2-1-1 lineup with 2 Soviets, 1 UKF, and 1 USF. And on the left-hand side of the map, spawning in, we're going to have the Germans playing. We're going to have Barn PL with the OKW, Sedolio, Wehrmacht, G-Dot, OKW, and Captain Price, Wehrmacht. Map is Steppes, so yet another one of those huge line-of-sight maps, just like we had Lien Forest last time. Do expect quite a lot of Jagdtiger action once again, and it's Barn PL. It's Barn PL time. I did expect something weird out of him last time. He disappointed me, but this time we're going for the Cubo-Wagon spam. So he's going to go for free Cubo-Wagons, and Sedolio, going for an extra engineer, is going to be supporting him with some repairs, I'm thinking. So by this way, the Germans are definitely going to be able to do some good work on the south. We also have a Cubo from G-Dot and Captain Price. Look at this. The Germans are just so very, I guess, focused toward the southern end of the map. They're just pivoting towards this area with the 2 fuel points. Of course, they want to get that extra fuel set up and secured as quickly as possible. They're going to just let Scotch capture the north for the Allies, and this could be pretty dangerous for them because, of course, Scotch can just capture these points and then come around the map and get a lot of harassment done on the rear end of the map for the Axis. Of course, if the Axis can secure the center and get a fuel advantage off of that, this could be pretty good still for them. Nagano is going for the clown car strategy. Most likely he's going to have a flamethrower upgraded on these combat energies. Ooh, Universal Carrier for Crossfire. Very smart considering what Barn PL was going for. The free Cubo-Wagon strategy definitely does, have a bit of a problem against allied vehicles of the same kind. Of course, the M3s that the Allies are going for, and also the Universal Carrier. And, well, I mean, nobody ever uses that, but it's a really cool unit, the military truck for the Americans. They're all able to do quite well against the Cubos, and right now we have 3 of the cars, I guess I'm going to call them, 3 battle cars from the Allies, as opposed to the 3 for the Germans, having lost one of those Cubos. There goes another Cubo. With the support of the Penals inside of the half-track, this was pretty easy. Actually, no, this isn't a half-track, it's a car. And at this point, looks like the car is also taking a lot of fire from these Car 98Ks and the engineers as well, but they're going to retreat, and the battle car for the Brits is going to be upgraded with the Vickers K, so this could be very strong on the southern side of the map. We get a little bit of extra protection against enemy infantry. Right now, it's going to use its crew repair to get some extra HP points before he can build any sappers. So the 2 clown cars in the north for the Allies, one from Von Asten, of course, and one from Nagano, are just plowing through the German defenses, and they have managed to recapture the fuel point. As you can see, the Allies, from Scotch's point of view, have also managed to capture a lot of points up here. Cubo-Wagon coming in to do some harassment from Barn PL isn't going to be too good, but I feel like the Allies definitely got the they got the knife from the hip. That doesn't exist in English. It's a saying in Italian. You have the knife from like the hilt. It's like weird. Anyway, they didn't get the short end of the stick. They won out on that engagement quite well. I mean, look at this. They've got the central fuel. They're putting pressure on the southern island points, which, I mean, they have been able to capture that, and that's, I guess, pretty bad for them, but still not going to be enough considering that they also have all the points in the north, which is also providing them with a lot of strategic points. And, of course, the huge amount of strategic points that they have is giving them an advantage when it comes to the fuel income overall. The not real soldiers, but we'll have to do spam of Penals is coming in. This is not going to be fun for the Axis to deal with, especially as it seems like they have a couple of machine guns in the island, but they're very confused about where to face because of all the different avenues of attack that the Allies have when approaching the island. I mean, they've got the northern from the fuel side, they've got the side from their base. They can come in through this little opening in the trees. They can just do quite a lot of things and confuse the Axis, confuse the hell out of them, and that could be bad. Now, it looks like we have a bit of a flank coming in from Sidolio. Very nicely played with these Grenadiers. He's going to be able to get quite a bit of damage off on these penals and force them to retreat, along with, of course, the support of the heavy machine gun from Captainess Rice in the center. However, we have the first flamethrower on the field. Skakar gets a little bit too close to the Grenadiers and gets a Panzerfaust for its troubles, but it's because it's crewed by engineers with that flamethrower, it's going to be able to easily repair for itself. So let's actually speed it up a little bit as the early game dies down a little bit more. A couple of mines coming down from the Allies is definitely pretty good. Also looks like the southern end of the map is being poked at by Crossfire. Crossfire with a very balanced force of Universal Carrier, Sapper, 3 infantry sections. I wonder what he's going to go for after the platoon command post. He might try to go for the AEC, but I feel like it wouldn't be the best possible choice. I mean, he knows at this point, now that he's lost this... Ooh, yeah, definitely lost this Universal Carrier to the enemy, that there's probably something like this. Verkenwerfer. Nice flank coming in from his infantry sections, but it's not going to be enough. I mean, there's this machine gun up here that can easily shut this down, and also there's a nice reinforcement bunker from Captainess Price. Interesting that they went for both the battle group and the reinforcement bunker. I guess they just wanted a little bit of extra coverage for the reinforcement radius. And unfortunately, the UC was completely destroyed by something. So no side will have advantage in that regard. Looks like the Allies are still maintaining their very, very good hold over the north and sort of northwest of the map. Looks like what killed this Cubewagon? Either a mortar or a mine. I'm thinking a mine. So mine killing the Cubewagon up here, making sure that it's not gonna ever be annoying ever again. And there's a Steward on the field for Scotch. Definitely coming in with a strong opening right now, Scotch. After a pretty normal, I guess, supportive game last time as the Wehrmacht, he's definitely looking to be a little bit more aggressive with the USF. And right now it seems like he's going to be a little bit too close for comfort with that Panzerfaust. However, there isn't really much for Sidolio right now that can follow up and destroy the Stewards, especially since the Steward can just hop out and get a repaired critical in case things start to go very awry for him. And unfortunately, he's going to lose the Captain squad, right? That was the Captain that he lost? Yep, Captain. He can still replace it for like 310? 320 manpower. So that's not the worst possible thing for him. I mean, he could try to replace it. He's got 400 munitions. And what is he going for? A pack howitzer. Interesting choice. He wants the extra bit of anti-infantry for the center, especially the southern portion of the map, where there's going to be, I guess, the biggest attrition in warfare. Right now, we have a very, very well-suited British player, Crossfire, down here, with that mortar pit and the trenches and the machine guns. He's definitely preparing for that World War I reenactment week, and I think that he's going to do quite well down there, even against a couple of enemy players. Although right now, with the Lukes on the field, he's got basically no counters to that. Overall, it seems like the Allies just really lack in terms of AT, with all of the Soviets going for that Tier 1 into Tier 3. In fact, Nagano already has a Tier 4 on the field, so it's very, very scary for the Axis. Right now, with that resource superiority that the Allies had, they could face a very, very fast T-34 out of Nagano. That could be pretty bad for them. Although, what I'm kind of excited to do, or see, or... yeah, see... oh my god. What I'm kind of excited to see is Nagano, after going so well with the Stuka last game, I feel like it's time to do the Katyusha. If he goes for the Katyusha, he can definitely put some pretty big amount of pressure on the southern side of the map. Now, it looks like overall the Allies are just doing so damn well right now. They're just flooding over and capturing a lot of points. They've recaptured the central fuel, They're putting down some pressure over on the north. The Axis are trying to bring in an AT gun to counter the Stuart, but it's not enough because there's a lot of allied infantry in the way. So they're gonna have a early warning system for that. Looks like also the light vehicles from the allies are pushing in and doing quite a lot of damage. Another sort of semi-push from Nagano is going to be flanking around the weapon crew positions for the Germans. The free MGs from Captain S. Price are right now being completely bombarded by the mortar pit, and that's not exactly the best possible position where they could be in. The Lukes is just not enough to counter all this swarming allied infantry that's coming in all around the island. And right now, another engagement goes quite well for them. I mean, they've managed to secure mostly the center. The only big weakness right now that I can see for the Allies is that they're lacking an AT. This is partially because they're going mostly, I'm guessing, for tank destroyers. They know that on steppes, which is a very, very big map, normal AT guns are going to have some problems. Unless you're something like the British that can, of course, reinforce them on the field with what I'm sure there's going to be a forward assembly up here somewhere for crossfire. Unless you're something like the British, again, that can reinforce on the field, or you go for a half-track or something, you're going to have to, you know, rely on recrewing AT guns a lot. There's a big walk that you have to do from the base to the, you know, where the fighting is going to be. So even when you produce the AT gun, you're going to have to wait even longer to have it be of any use. All those factors kind of stack up on each other, and that could end up hurting an over-relying on AT gun team. However, still, it's pretty strange that the Germans still haven't gone with so many vehicles. I mean, we have the Lukes and the Puma from G-Dot, and then pretty much nothing else. I mean, Sidolio is finally going for a Panzer IV. G-Dot's going for a Stuka as well. Captain S. Price is, he's going with the supply drop, Luftwaffe supply doctrine. That could be good. He's also going with the spam OMG strategy, which can work out for him. However, I wonder what he's going to do with all that fuel. I mean, he might be going for quick Panthers or something. He's gone for a tier 3. Doesn't really tell us much. And all those MGs couldn't prevent the infantry sections from actually stealing the Rakenwerfer. Very well played by Crossfire. I keep forgetting people's names. Yeah, sorry. So Von Asten definitely going for some T-34-76s, and he's also got some bulletins for Katyushas. So he's going to make the Germans face the music soon enough from the Stalin Orgel as it comes in. And right now, Sidolio has that Panzer IV on the field, which could be very bad for this M5 Stuart. Scotch's infantry company doesn't really afford him too many sources of AT too early, unless he went for, again, some AT guns from the captain tier. Thankfully, the Stuart is a slippery vehicle and managed to escape. Just slightly, the Panzer IV decides to not go onto that mine. Unfortunately, a squad does go down, which was Scotch's rear echelon troop with the minesweeper. He's got 4 rifleman squads, so 4 rifleman squads of those M1919s, definitely very, very strong for him. At this point, he can control most of the northwestern side of the map by himself, and then use the rest of his allies as forces, I guess, just a couple of extra squads, extra bits of supportive units to help just round out the whole defensive network. Oh! So Panzer IV takes a pretty big hit from a mine, and that could be pretty bad for him. However, there doesn't really seem to be too much in the way of units that can follow up on this, although there is a T-34-85 from Nagano. Nagano going for the T-34-85 kind of surprises me, but it is a good choice in my opinion overall, because Steppes is a very, very wide open map where, of course, if you have those medium tanks and you can group them up, get a death ball going, keep them alive, get them vetted up, and flank the enemy, you can do quite a lot of damage with the swarm of mediums. Unfortunately, it looks like the T-34-85 is taking quite a lot of damage from the Rakenwerfer, and at this point it's going to have to retreat quite quickly. At the same time, however, the Volksgrenadiers that were trying to, I guess, provide line of sight on the T-34-85 are also going to have to retreat from the Penals. So Penals providing a little bit of security for the T-34 as it retreats back to some, I guess, safe haven to repair. No Soviet industry looks like so far. Ooh, Von Asten actually going for some T-34-85s of his own. I thought that was a 76 earlier, but it looks like I misread the the little icon up here from the production, and it's a T-3485 from the Armored Assault this time, not from the Guard Mortar Coordination, which means that later on he's going to have the IS-2 as well. This T-3485 can definitely destroy the Panzer IV, but the T-3485 itself is in a little bit of trouble. Needs to get behind the smoke to avoid getting destroyed by the AT gun. AT gun also goes down to the Allied infantry push, and as you can see, this sort of very uneven map distribution is continuing as the Allies control pretty much the entirety of the north and northwestern ends of the map, whereas the Germans only control a slice of the south, which is, of course, pretty damn bad for them. Here comes a satchel charge to destroy the path before it can be recruited by the Germans. Doesn't work. The rifleman, however, could use a frag grenade. Ah, damn it. Could have used the frag grenade to finish it off, I think. Pretty sure. Might be confusing myself with Company Fears 1. Definitely, though, I get the feeling that the frag grenade would have destroyed the AT gun. Oh well. Right now, it seems like this M157mm AT gun is positioning itself to fire at the 2nd Panzer IV from Sedilio, which is an interesting choice, considering that he has both Lightning War and Jaeger armor available. I feel like with 11 CPs, he could have waited for one of those big heavies, but oh well. Ooh, there's a KT already on the field for Barn PL, so that's where all that fuel went into from Captain S. Price's supply drops. Looks like it went into a KT from Barn PL, and that's, well, not the best possible thing for the Allies. They don't really have anything to counter this thing. However, do they need to counter it? No, they really don't. I mean, they hold most of the map, and the KT, being the slow, lumbering cat that it is, it's a pretty damn fat cat. I mean, it really can't run around the map too quickly, right? It can't be a fire brigade. If the Allies are pushing in the center and west and keeping that area under their control, especially if the KT keeps receiving damaged engines like this, the KT just kind of has to stay around one area, and then wherever it is, the Allies can just go somewhere else. Like, this isn't going to work out 100% of the time perfectly, but I feel like one KT isn't going to be enough to turn a 4v4 game around. It's just not enough. There's just so many more things happening around the map that just one KT isn't going to be enough overall, I feel like. But I could be proven wrong. We're going to have to see how well Barn PL manages to control the KT and how well he can keep it alive, mostly. Because if the KT can, I guess, guarantee that the Germans won't be triple capped in the south, it can survive a long time, get a lot of kills under its belt, get up to Veterancy 5, it can do quite a lot of damage. And that's overall, I feel like, the German strategy. Just hug around the KT, keep it alive as much as possible, use it as a linchpin, as a core of the army, and then see what happens. Although the Allies are just in such a huge advantage at this point that I don't see how the Germans can come back. I mean, they have, yeah, sure, they haven't been triple capped, but they're still at 291 points regardless. I mean, they still haven't managed to break out of the southern island, I guess, pin that they've been placed under. And right now, the swarm of Allied mediums is just continuously owning the western, northern side of the map. I mean, as you can see, 2 T-3485s from Nagano, 2 T-3485s, oh no, 1 T-3485 and a Katyusha from Von Asten, also starting to pound some of these Axis HQs, plus a Comet that's on the field from Crossfire, which is going to be incredibly important because of this Jagdpanzer that's on the field. The Jagdpanzer definitely is countered by the Comet. If the Comet can use its mobility, this is going to be pretty bad, although the Comet just backed itself into a trench, which is pretty bad. I feel like Crossfire has been playing Sudden Strike 4, where tanks can run over trenches, but this is Company Fears 2, where tanks can't do that, and so Comet shows its rear armor and dies. Pretty big victory for the Germans. That's a very expensive vehicle for the Allies that goes down. That's good. However, here comes a weird artillery barrage from Scotch, time and target, which doesn't really do too much. Another thing to think about is that Nagano is Guard and Mortar Coordination, so we have the marked vehicle available to him, which doubles the damage that you do to any number of vehicles that you place it under. So at this point, the Germans getting a couple of nice pickoffs on the Allies. This is definitely what they want to do at this point. They're in a position where they're weaker than the Allies, but if they can just slightly pick away at their forces, wait until they make a couple of mistakes, and then seize upon those opportunities, then get some territory back. That's pretty much the 100% thing that they must do, or rather the thing that they must 100% do, get back some territory. But if they can do those things, they're going to be fine. They can sort of work off their strong late game with the King Tigers, with the Yak Tigers. Although, I mean, as long as the KT is alive, I don't think we're going to see a Yak Tiger because... Oh no, actually we are going to see a Yak Tiger because of G-Dot's Doctrine pick. Both of them going Breakthrough. Definitely valuing those Panzer Fusiliers for Barton. And valuing also the Yak Tiger for G-Dot. Because he hasn't gone for any Panzer Fusiliers, interestingly enough. So I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, G-Dot is going to be up there. I wonder what the Stuka has been doing. Looks like not much at all. It's kind of sitting back across the field, not really doing anything. So definitely not doing quite as well as the Priests from G-Dot in the last game. Kind of unfortunate for right now for the Axis. Il-2 Sturmovik strike coming in and preventing the Axis from pushing up infantry, I guess. Might be a bit of a waste of 110 munitions. I mean, this thing with 110 munitions isn't nearly as good as the Axis Stuka Close Air Support attack with 200 munitions. I mean, it's just kind of a bit of an imbalance, but oh well. Right now, it looks like these penals for our ally player Nugano are doing pretty well. They managed to steal our Cannon River, which is, of course, very, very good. And right now, the KT is pounding on them. But the KT can't really stand here too long with two AT guns firing on him. A marked vehicle coming in. Here comes the Allied tank swarm with a pretty interesting Stuka barrage. Takes not a lot of damage. And right now, the Stuka and the KT are in a little bit of danger. They need to get out. Because if the Allied sort of medium tank horde can get a nice drop on them, then they're going to be in trouble. In fact, speaking of getting the drop on something, the Yak Panzer right now doesn't really seem to have a lot of support. Here comes the anti-tank grenades, however, from the Panzer Fusiliers. This could be the loss of a couple of T-34-85 medium tanks. For the price of only one Yak Panzer, this might not be worth it. Although, this T-34-85 might escape. No, it will not. This T-34-85 will definitely not. And the T-34 goes down. That's very, very sad. So overall, pretty decent bait from the Yak Panzer. I guess it was not entirely on purpose, but it did end up working out. Right now, the KT is doing its job of tanking around the Allied medium tank swarm. And right now, the Germans are coming back into this. They managed to get a couple of nice victories. However, if they can't really turn that into territory gained, then it's going to be all for naught. Right now, it looks like, ooh, pretty big artillery barrages coming in from the Allies, shaking the ground beneath the shells, and also a second KT is on the field for G-Dot, so going for two KTs rather than a KT and a Yak Tiger. Interesting choice, partially because G-Dot hadn't reached those 15 points yet, so of course he could get the KT, but he couldn't actually purchase the Yak Tiger yet. And also partially because I think they wanted the extra anti-infantry firepower from those 88mm general purpose guns, as opposed to the anti-tank focused Yak Tiger 128mm. So the Allies right now are starting to transition into tons of AT guns, which is smart. They didn't end up going for lots of tank destroyers in the end. They went for the medium tank swarm, which is definitely what I enjoy more about the Allied playstyle rather than the tank destroyers that were employed by TATUS Gaming in the last game. Yeah, I just feel like the Allies are stronger when it comes to mobility rather than firepower overall. So I think that with the Germans going for this kind of strategy with, of course, pretty classic couple of big heavy tanks and then lots of TDs in the rear, and then a couple of Panthers for support. Ooh, excellent air supremacy operation. Takes out a Panther and a Stug. So overall, yeah, while the Allies are superior in mobility, they can, of course, also bring in their own airstrikes. And looks like Crossfire was saving up the entire game to go for a massive air supremacy operation, and he can go for another one anytime he wants. Usually I see this ability being used correctly only against fortifications and buildings, but it looks like the Axis didn't really realize what was going on, because this ability isn't really used in my experience. I don't really ever see it being used. In general, the Commando Regiment doesn't seem as used as some of the other ones. It doesn't see a lot of action. But, hey, worked out pretty well for Crossfire, getting a couple of very, very high-profile kills. So, going for the medium tanks, plus the support of the AT guns, working out very well so far for the Allies. The Germans really can't be mobilizing enough infantry, it seems, to support their big heavy tanks. And that's kind of allowed these AT guns free reign to pop a lot of damage on them before they could even do anything. And then the constant threat of flanking from the big allied swarms of mediums has been keeping the Axis very, very much in check from doing anything too reckless. So this overall could be going much better for our Axis players. It seems like the Allies will just be continuing to pump out those mediums like there's no tomorrow. Nogano has lost those two T-34-85s earlier on, so he's going to be down to only one T-34-85. His friend Von Asten, however, is up to 3 T-34-85s, and he's going for a T-34-76. Is that a T-34? Yeah, it's a T-34-76. Partially because he does not have enough pop cap for another T-34-85. Yeah, but he does not have another T-34-85's worth of pop cap in reserve, so he's going for a T-34-76. Also, it does help to have a T-34-76 mixed in, because it is a more expendable vehicle for something like rams or hunting down artillery, as I already said. Right now, Scotch, what has he been doing? He's gone for the Priest himself, and the Priest is starting to pound on the battle headquarters, doing very, very well for himself. Looks like a big little artillery barrage coming in from both Captain S. Price with that incendiary bombing run and the Stuka from G-Dot. I think that was G-Dot's Stuka. Yep, was going after Vet 2 and getting 19 kills overall. So the Stuka is starting to ramp up quickly when it comes to kill count. However, the Axis really needs some kind of way to ramp up their pressure and get some territory under their control. Finally, they've been starting to harass the left side of the map, but here comes the counter. This clown car is still alive, and it's going to roast up those Grenadiers quite nicely and eat them for dinner. And then probably post a review online somewhere on the food. At this point, it seems like overall the Axis, every time they try to advance, overwhelming Allied artillery and airstrikes come in and force them back in a way, which is quite sad for them, because they've spent all this time like waiting until they had those 2 KTs, and now every time they advance, they just get hit with artillery. It's like either the KTs take a lot of damage and they have to retreat, or their infantry support has to retreat back to base, which is really the biggest problem, it seems. There goes the Puma, which unfortunately didn't really seem to have too much of an impact on the game. That's kind of sad. And it looks like up north, the clown car hit a mine. I didn't see the mine. Was that a mine? I think it was. Although, yeah, this guy was back at base, so it might have been Panzerfausted. I don't know. Still, pretty... Ooh, that was a good Stuka barrage. So pretty good that the Germans are coming back into this game and managing to get some moves in the central and northern parts of the map, which so far seems to have been working. I mean, the Allies are starting to stretch out a little bit thinner rather than concentrating entirely on this narrow front by the fuel point with all their vehicles and all their support weapons. They've kind of been forced to spread around a little bit more. They're coming in with some T-34s to counter the one engineer squad in the north. So as you can see, this is a very, very overwhelming display of force to just kill one squad. And now they're going to have to come in and, ooh, here comes the second big bombing run, the air supremacy operation. It's not going to do as much, it seems like, this time. The Germans do manage to kind of retreat in time. This Panzer IV takes a little bit of fire, but it's not enough to destroy it. So overall, the Germans, while not quite having made a big breakthrough yet, they have dented the Allied front line, and they've kind of, I guess, it could be said that they've won a bit of a moral victory. They've managed to get a little bit of a foothold into areas of the map where they essentially haven't been present for the past 29 minutes. And that's of course, gonna be helping them out if they can, again, coordinate, get into one position, push into there, take the territory, and hold it. That is the name of the game, territory, right now. They don't want to be, once again, pinned back onto the island, which would be very, very bad for them. Of course, there's a slight problem of pushing up against this kind of an allied, I guess, setup, with so many players on the allied side going for lots of big, fast mediums. If the allies push in, or rather, if the Axis push in a little bit too far into the allied front line, they expose their flanks very much. For example, if there was a flank coming in right now from the south, all these Stugs, this Panzerwerfer, and this Brumbear right now from Captain S. Price will be in trouble. Pretty big trouble. Same for any kind of extremity or flank of the German formation. It could be pretty bad if the Allies manage to concentrate enough vehicles on the flanks to take out enemy tanks quickly before the Axis can react. So overall, especially once the KTs are damaged and they have to repair, the Axis need to be very, very careful about their flanks. They need to start planting down a lot of mines, which so far they haven't really done too much of, but they could start doing right now. And here comes the Elephant also from Sedilio, so it looks like they went for, instead of the Jagdtiger, they went for the Elephant. Could be a decent choice. Overall, Sedilio's Elephant play is going to have to be seen, but can be very, very useful, especially against the Firefly from Crossfire. Nothing really too surprising going on right now. The Allies have been managing to recapture the north. And because of that, they also have a very nice position from which to flank down south into the German main lines. Again, pretty dangerous. And ooh, the Stugs. The Stug Blob from Captain S. Price advances up and eats a mine. So that means it's very, very vulnerable. I wonder if these T-3485s from Nagano don't want to, for example, come in and destroy them. And oh, here comes a big push on the north. We have a couple of T-3485s. They can definitely destroy this P4. There's also the problem of this Stuka right now that's a little bit exposed. I mean, there isn't really too much between the T-34s and the Stuka. And also, the Elephant and the Jagdpanzer IV are now in a very precarious position, as these T-3485s could be trying to come into their rear. And in fact, they show their rear to the rest of the Allied forces. Right now, the T-3485s are charging in against the KT. KT eats, of course, the marked vehicle, which is going to be very, very bad for it, as it's backed into the cliff, into the corner. And there's a cliff on the Volga. There's also a cliff on Steppes, which is going to be the end of this poor King Tiger. Right now, it looks like a lot of the Allied tanks are taking huge damage and being forced to either die or retreat. But at the same time, the Allies are able to take down a lot of very important units for the Axis. So overall, I feel like this engagement is very much an Allied win. They've also managed to get a couple of airstrikes and artillery strikes on the Germans, just to keep them a little bit busy while they go back and, in all due tranquility, just repair very, very nicely. Don't even need to get themselves too worried up or too hurried. They just repair safely while the Germans have to deal with massive airstrikes and artillery. That can work out for them. I mean, overall, we don't have the same repair capacity for the Allies as the Germans do, of course, because of the lack of the automatrons from the Mechanized Regiment headquarters and the lack of these Sturm Pioneers with the Minesweepers, rather the support package upgrade. But still, looks like the Allies do manage to get their vehicles back on track. Now, Baron PL, instead of replacing the King Tiger, he went for a Jagdtiger, and that could be a good idea. It could also be a terrible idea. I mean, overall, the problem with this is that, of course, we have an Elephant already on the field, and that plus the Jagdtiger plus the Jagdpanzer IV means that there's a real mobility deficiency for the Germans right now, and something like this could exploit it. Here we have 3 T-45s. They're going to run over this Grenadier squad pretty much mercilessly, and right now they're going to be coming in, getting the last few rounds off on that King Tiger, destroying it, and there was absolutely nothing these other vehicles could do because they were all busy just kind of derping around in their own slowness. So the nimble allied medium swarm, once again proving its worth, attacking at the, as you can see, at the extremity, at the flank of the German formation, and getting a very nice kill off. Now, this Sherman Firefly needs to be very, very careful at this impressive line of tank destroyers the Germans have fielded. And of course, this is going to mean the end for it. Here comes a incendiary bombing run from the Luftwaffe supply doctrine, but also a Stu goes down, and there's only 75 points, in fact, only 50 points remaining for the Germans. And they can't really take any of the points in the center and the north because they're focusing all of their forces in the center, and they don't have any versatile mediums. They don't have any mobility all around the map. They can only just see what's in front of them and fight that. They can't really push up north or in the extreme north because they lack mediums. They lack things to deal with, for example, this M8A1, which has been such a huge pain in the ass with 51 or 31 kills, which has been able to hold the central VP for the Allies. And they cannot deal also with the M3 Scout Car up here. So overall, they can only send infantry units up there once in a while. And in general, ignoring the north, I would say, was the main reason why the Axis lost this game. I just feel like if they had been a little bit more, I guess, versatile in their, no, not versatile, flexible in their strategy and in their, of course, unit composition, that could have helped them out very, very greatly. They did want to go for those tank destroyer plus heavy tank swarms. I mean, they did it, and it kind of worked out, but it also gave them a lot of disadvantages, and especially ignoring the north really ended up biting them in the rear. I mean, look at this VP situation. If you're like in any way skeptical, I mean, 484 to 26. Compare that to the last game, where we had like 16 points to 0 ending, something like it. And as you can see, this, I mean, it wasn't really a one-sided game, but it looks like it because the Axis just kind of handicapped themselves by forgetting that the northern end of the map existed. I mean, overall, could have been a lot better for the Axis. So it looks like, yeah, I don't think that the Germans will be able to get anything done at the end, even with all these TDs in the center. I mean, they just really can't push up enough to actually capture this portion of the map that's defended by a ton of T-34s. And that's the one that they need to take because this is the one with the VP. So overall, looks like it looks like the Germans are gonna lose. TATUS Gaming gonna go down, and Golden Path is gonna go through to the next round. Although these games were pretty damn awesome, so I can't wait to see more of Golden Path in the next round. And overall, this is going to be the end. So I want to thank y'all for watching. Turn to click price. Of course, here comes the banter. I mean, with Captain S Price, you never know if it's banter, or, you know, something a little bit more serious. Nah, he's never entirely serious. If I ever see Captain S Price being 100% serious, that would be pretty surprising. Yeah, we're going to have the GG coming in, and finally a commando squad is called in. I guess they're a little bit late. So thank y'all for watching. Learn to pray price. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.